Welcome back to the Bloody Dragons. I've got everything ready for a slideshow that I prepared for you guys. I took like lots and lots of screenshots instead of having to click around the different players like this and showing you these screens. Then I just prepared it all in a slideshow. And well, and I've been doing a bit of Photoshop editing as well, and I'm gonna talk you through all the players and the reason why I'm choosing the players that I'm choosing for the World Cup squad. So enjoy. I'm pretty sure I'm recording now, and I'm gonna talk you through the whole squad selection because this is where it's at. It's the 29th of May in 2006. So the World Cup is right around the corner. And contrary to what I thought, I don't know where I got that notion, but I had an idea that I'd end up getting to select 32 players. Of course, reality is not that kind to me. I only get to select 23. So that's just one extra per position, you could say. It's 2 times 11 players, and then one extra, the third goalkeeper, I guess. In the real at the real World Cup or the European Championship for that matter, there's a rule that the third player that there has to be selected, that three goalkeepers selected. So I'm following the same rule, and for that reason I'll have to weed one of these out. And obviously the guy on the left, Danny Coyne from Wolves, he's my main choice, and the guy that you see furthest to the right, Roger Freestone, he's probably gonna be left out of the World Cup squad. But I'm including those players that are just about, well, very near to getting selected. I'm including them here because injuries might mean that we'll have to call up someone else. So it's nice to know who's well, who who almost made it. We don't have a lot of choices on the goalkeeper position. We did a few years ago, but as you can tell, Paul Jones and Roger Freestone, and also Mark Crossley for that matter, they're really old at this point. And I didn't include Mark Crossley here because he's a player coach, something like that, and doesn't play any games. Now we've got Danny Coyne. First of all, he's a good goalkeeper, and we're pretty lucky with that. I mean, he's not world class. He's not Schmeichel or Shea Given or anything like that, but he's pretty decent. He plays for Wolves in the first division, played Premier Division last season, and it's just, I don't know, someone that I feel I can depend on. So I'm good with yeah, with Danny Coyne. He's my main man. And then we've got Paul Jones. He's really old. But that's kind of the only problem with him because at the moment, since not getting any a lot of matches for Rochdale, well, he ended up on a free being transferred to Poland, where he's playing in the second division, which obviously isn't very impressive, but he's still playing, and not even all of the matches for them. But there's no problem with the match fitness or anything, so that's fine for me. Yeah, and then my third choice will probably be Andrew Walters. You saw this guy fail miserably in a friendly. I gave him one cap very recently, and well, his playing career is, I don't know, not 11 or 18 professional games all in all, and no matches for Newcastle where he's just listed for loan and he's a hot prospect. But the secret is, of course, and you'll know this if you've watched these episodes, that I hope he's actually Big Neville Southall, because I've been looking around for whoever might be the regen of him, and with this guy, the bravery, 20 in bravery, and also 1 in aggression. Um, that's correct, but there was something about flair. It wasn't 1; it was like 14 or 12 or something like that with the actual Neville Southall. So I'm not sure because those are some of the attributes that are supposed to be the same when you get a regen. So I can't really be sure about that. But anyway, even if he isn't Neville Southall, the regen, then he's still like a young prospect. And his value is 1.4 million, which is a lot more than the very old goalkeepers that I have. For example, this guy, Roger Freestone, he's a good goalkeeper for Swansea. If you happen to play with them in the third division, then I totally recommend Roger Freestone and just keep him for the next season and the season after that because he's great. I gave him a cap just so that he wouldn't have to play his debut. But, well, he doesn't really get any matches for Sheffield United these days. So choosing him with very low morale and a lot of influence and no match fitness probably will not be a very good idea. So, yeah. I'll leave him out of the squad. I'm pretty sure on that. But I might have called him up in case of injury. So, on to the central defenders. Same thing as with the goalkeepers. I know who my first choices are. It's Kit Symons on the left, the left central position, and then Andrew Mumford, who's a talented player. And then I've decided Robert Page and David Hughes, they're not coming with us to the World Cup. Instead, I'm choosing Matthew Bound, and I'll show you why. So, Kit Symons is a great player. He plays for Bradford in the first division, gets man of the matches things, and is just generally a guy that I feel I can count on in the central defense. Same with Andrew Mumford. He's in Hibernian in Scotland for some reason, but I suspect some club in England will eventually spot him over there in Scotland, and then he'll probably play in the Premier League soon because he's a really good defender, plays well for me. And then there's the problem with Robert Page. See, he's just been on a steady decline. Maybe he used to be good. He was good in the Championship Manager 97-98 edition, but I've just noticed several times where I've counted on him to play well. Well, he hasn't really done so. Maybe it has to do with pressure attribute or with the big occasion, the important matches. Well, he just doesn't play well. So, and he's playing in the second division, which he has been all the time. And it's not like he's impressing. For instance, he doesn't get any man of the match awards in the 26 matches he's played for Huddersfield in this season, and it's a rating of 6.96 in the second division. It's not all that impressive, is it? Next up is Matthew Bound. He's the guy who I now prefer to Robert Page. Also, one of those sturdy defenders that I hope I can count on. I gave him one cap recently, and he just looks pretty awesome with the strength and the jumping and everything. Really, he's playing for Gillingham, which is a first division team, where he's performing a lot better than Robert Page is in the second division. So it's an easy choice, really. I just spotted him a bit late when he was already 32. And then David Hughes. I think I'd prefer him almost to Robert Page if he wasn't lacking match practice, which unfortunately he is. Um, so he's in Queens Park Rangers and isn't really being used this season. So that's a shame because he does have some cool attributes that, well, with the anticipation and positioning and so on, that the other central defenders, the other options I have in the central defense, they don't have that kind of attributes. So on to the fullbacks, left and right. Let's just talk them over. I've got Mark Delaney. He's in Brighton, and Brighton play in the first division, where, well, obviously where he also plays, and he's not really impressing. And for some reason, he's transfer listed by request, even though I can, 27 matches from the start. That seems fine, right? Maybe not the most important player in the club, but I think he's sort of doing all right. And he's my first choice on the right back position. I don't have lots of choices. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about him, but the other choice, or one of the few other choices, is Darren Jones. It's this guy tying his shoelaces, and he's playing well in Leicester. And depending on, and he doesn't have the match fitness problem, but he doesn't get a lot of matches compared to if you see his playing career and then the average rating in the last few seasons. For example, in the 2004-05 season, he got 20 matches and an average rating of 7.35. So that was great for a 21-year-old player. And now he's 1 year later, but getting less games, which is the reason why he's transfer listed by request. But really, he's doing all right in Leicester. It's a Premier Division team and everything, so, well, what do you expect from a young guy like this? But really, he's an option on right back, but also in central defense. So he can double for Mumford. And then there's Robbie Savage. He's a weird guy. I can't really figure him out because he just doesn't play well, no matter where I place him. But he plays several positions, and I suspect he plays best in midfield, which for me means the central midfield because I don't play with wing backs or anything like that. But he's an option. He has to cover the other positions as well, because he's not one of the players in the starting lineup. So I think I'll bring him along and just take advantage of the fact that he can play all these positions. Then we've got David Vaughan, first choice on left back, 23 years old, has played lots of matches in the Premier Division, and well, no, what am I talking about? No, he hasn't. He played for Crewe earlier, where he played in the second division, obviously, and he played well. And then he was sold to Sunderland and hasn't really become the important player in Sunderland that we all hope he will. But he does play in the Premier League, and, well, hopefully he can show his skills at the World Cup. And then there's Jellyman. He's actually the only left back choice that I have that's like a serious option. For me, he plays in Peterborough in the second division. I don't know what else to say about him. He's a bit of a bore, and he hasn't really played very well the few times I gave him the chance on the national team. But this weird guy is called Darren Brace. And, well, I was a bit surprised when I took all these screenshots to find out that Darren was actually a player manager at age 27 in real life, which he signed for in Haverfordwest after having his career smashed to bit because of injuries, and well, he's been a player manager all of the time in the save, because he's a player manager from the beginning of the game. I just hadn't noticed. So here you've got his player attributes on the right, on the left, and then the manager attributes on the right. So I'm bringing him along for tactical advice and stuff. It's so weird, but yeah, I'm bringing along a player manager in my World Cup squad because I need him, because he can play both the right and left full back position. Haverford West is a team in says the Premier Division, but that's because it's the Welsh Premier Division, so that's a bit different. But he's played fine. The few times I've needed him on the national team, and his attributes look fine, so I'm going with him again, even though he's right only, which is a bit sad, because I'll probably have to use him on left back, because he plays both of the fullback positions. Then I prefer this guy over Jellyman that I showed you before. That's the whole defense, and these are the central midfielders. As you guys would know, I've got the central midfielders lined up 3 in a line, and with the middle one with an arrow forward, so he's almost an attacking midfielder. And that's Kumas and possibly Craig Bellamy. So I've got them on the right side here. The other options, I'll just talk them over: Simon Davies, Matthew Jones, Lee Fowler, Andy Johnson, and Paul Evans. So Simon Davies is the odd one out of these central midfielders, and what makes him special is his creativity and a lot of pace, so and set pieces. So that creativity, I hope to be able to use that in all of my matches. He hasn't played very well for me in the national team overall. Well, and his club career isn't very impressive either. But I know that he will get good eventually in this game, because he's one of the talents. And actually, I've seen in the editor that he has the coveted -2 potential ability. So he's gonna get good. I just hope that it will be June of 2006 that he'll start to show it. Then there's Matthew Jones. Sorry, he's a defensive midfielder, right, left, center, and quite versatile, either foot. So, and he's playing for Millwall, and they're new in the Premier Division, and he did okay, I guess, for a young player. Not that young, he's 25. Maybe he should have done better, I don't know. But he's a Premier League player, and well, I'm including him in the squad, obviously. It might even as a starter, might even be a starter. Right, and then there's Andy Johnson. Andy is, I think his career is in decline. He's 32 years old, transfer listed by request, and Columbus in the MLS are interested. Columbus Crew. He's been playing for Southampton for a while, and now in the Premier Division, he's been mostly like a rotation player or a backup. But as you can tell from his attributes, he's a guy with a lot of, well, he brings a certain physical presence to the pitch, doesn't he? Yeah. But he hasn't played that well for me. And the same really with this guy, Paul Evans from Stoke, 31 years old, and Stoke is a club in the first division. And I don't know whether he's in decline or anything like that, but I just think that these two players look pretty similar, Andy Johnson and Paul Evans, with the exception maybe that Paul Evans can he's good technique and set pieces and stuff. Maybe not quite as good in the air, but really they're the sturdy kind of ball-winning midfielder. And this guy has a lot of determination. So it's really tough, actually, whether I should pick him or Andy Johnson. One of those two, probably. Then there's Lee Fowler. He's a young guy, and plays for Crystal Palace in the Premier Division. And well, I guess he plays all right. It's sort of the same thing as with Matthew Johnson. Yeah. And then Jason Kumas. He's definitely my first choice in the attacking midfield. He can play with either foot, and it's not that he plays super well in all the international matches that I choose him for, because he doesn't at all. He's a bit erratic, I think, but he has great set pieces, so I'll need him for that. Corners and free kicks and whatever. And yeah, if you guys saw him in the first match against Finland, then you'll know why I'm choosing this guy as my first choice in the central midfield. Craig Bellamy, haven't really worked him out. He's a bit of a mystery. I mean, he hasn't played very well for me, and doesn't really impress much in the club, in his clubs either. He recently has started to play a little bit better for Leeds in the Premier League, after actually having been transfer listed, or choosing to get transfer listed. And now he's happy to stay at the club again. Is not transfer listed anymore, but still he's sort of only a squad rotation or backup player in Leeds. And I don't think he's ever played a good international match while I've been the manager for Wales. So he's sort of my backup as an attacking midfielder and as a forward. And I suspect he plays best as a forward, but I don't know. He'll have to take what he can get. Then in the attacking midfield, I mean on the wings, the right wing and left wing, we've got Chris Twitty. This guy, well, he's a bit of a find, I think. I found him first in Norway, in a different save where I'm playing with Swansea. Now he's transfer listed by request in Wigan, where he had been quite a success in the 2003-2004 season, when they were playing in the first division. But then in the Premier League he was sort of discarded and not really used. So I understand why he wants a transfer. And it's a bit of a problem because he's lacking match practice at the moment. Same thing with David Pipe. He's the other option we've got on the right wing. Also lacking match practice because he's not getting any playing time for Coventry and hasn't really been getting any matches for them. Very few matches for them in the last 2 seasons. So he was supposed to be playing in the Premier League, and his attributes look sort of like a Premier League player, but they don't really have faith in him apparently. So he has a transfer arranged for Hearts, so he's going to Scotland to find some playing time there, but yeah, obviously not in time for having his match practice thing in order for the World Cup. Then there's this guy. Well, he's also found himself in a bit of trouble recently in Man United because with their new manager, it's Guus Hiddink, and he's playing a weird formation with no wingers. So, well, that's a problem for Giggs, and it's something you can clearly see in his playing career up here, that, well, it goes from 7.56 to 6.73, and he's only being used as a substitute, really. But yeah, and he's such a cool guy. He's not even mad about this yet, but I'm hoping he will be. But so far it's not a problem for me because he still has match fitness. Then there's some guy called Chris. He also wants first team football. He's playing in Reading. He doesn't have the match fitness problem because he's been on loan to Bohemians in the Irish League. But he's not being used by Reading in the first division. And, well, he's not very high on my list for squad selection because I've got several other players who can also play the left wing, one of them being Kumas, the other being Andy Williams. And Andy, I've got a soft spot for this guy. He's so weird. He plays in Bath City, which is a semi-professional non-league team. And he's just been playing there all the time and really impressing. And for some reason, no club will ever find him. Or that is, until now. Because I just noticed he has a transfer arranged for the 6th of June. And I think that's the same date that we are playing the first match in the World Cup. So he'll be a Wimbledon player in the first division. And I'm thinking he'll probably do great. He's a weird combination of defender / attacking midfielder. And he plays right, left, and center. But yeah, I noticed in the editor, which I might have just glimpsed into a little bit, that he's actually only really good on the left side and not so much as a defender at all. So he's mostly just a substitute for Ryan Giggs, but he's also a guy who's versatile and has either foot preferred, so he'll have to double as, I don't know, all of those other positions that he can play, basically. Right. That was a lot of players, and we've still got Jason Kumas, but I already talked about him. I'll just show him here as well, because he's also an option on either of the wings. Strikers? Well, I already talked about Craig Bellamy, so there are only 2 players to go now. First of which, of course, is John Hartson. And I'm so relieved that after sitting around for 7 months or something like that, he was finally signed by Santos in, I think, February, yes, after having been released in late June by Celtic. So he'd just been clubless and obviously with no match fitness at all. And now he's in Santos in Brazil. And I actually went there and pretended to be sitting in the stands for his first match for them, which was a home match in 30 degrees Celsius, where he scored twice, because he's John Hartson. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action at the World Cup. I think he's going to be great. And Santos, by the way, if you're not aware of this, it's quite a legendary Brazilian club. It's the club where Pelé originates from. And also, I think, Neymar. Is that correct? Someone would probably know. Someone would probably tell me. And then the last guy is Robert Earnshaw. He's playing well for Bolton. 10 goals in 34 matches. That's all right, isn't it? Well, I think he's just on the rise. He's getting better and better. 25 years old. Forward, left, and center, but he's not an option on the left wing. He can only play as a forward. And they play in the Premier Division, Bolton, and well, I think he's a good second choice and a very different kind of striker than Hartson. He's a very quick striker with good finishing, right? So, and Bellamy, I mentioned him already. So, the thing I've come up with after looking at all these is this bunch of players. Goalkeepers and defenders, I've got 11 players selected in total, which I hope is enough. So 1 substitute basically for each of the positions. And I'm choosing, I'm going with Rob Savage, even though, as I explained, he's not an actual fullback, but he can double in so many other positions. And then this guy, Jones, right? Down Jones from Leicester. He is a right back as well as a central defender. He's actually mostly a right back. So really for the 2 central defensive positions, I've only got this guy, and that might be a problem. But I've also got that guy, a little bit. Yeah, and Darren Brace, he's a right and left fullback. So I'm hoping this will be enough. I would like to be able to choose just one more guy for the central defense. And I guess that would be probably Robert Page, actually. So I'm not going to do that. Midfield and forwards, I've got the central midfielders, the three in the middle right here. It's going to be Davies, Kumas, and Matthew Jones, if everyone is fit. And then I'm choosing Andy Johnson over here. And this guy, Lee Fowler, who's the young defensive midfielder, right, left, center. I think those two are the best options. And then Craig Bellamy as the backup attacking midfielder center, who also doubles as a forward. And forwards, it's Hartson and Earnshaw. On the right wing, we've got Chris Twitty and Pipe, both lacking match fitness. On the left wing, we've got our only world-class player, Ryan Giggs. And then we've got this guy, Andy Williams. And all those green lines, they're meant to show that, well, most of the green lines anyway, they're meant to show that he can also play this position and that position if he had to, and even the left fullback. But he's not very good in any of those positions. So hopefully he won't have to play at all. Actually, is what I mean. So that's what I've got. That's 12 players here, 11 players here, and well, quick math. That's 23 players. So that's all I get to choose, and I would have liked to have a few more options in the central midfield, because it's really only 2 guys as substitutes for 3 guys, and one of those guys in the lineup, Kumas, he is actually already the backup for the wings, right? He'd be my go-to guy as a left winger before Andy Williams. So, but I can't use him there because then I'll have one less man in the central midfield and so on. But for that reason, well, that's also part of the reason why I ended up choosing Rob Savage, because he's certainly an option in the central midfield, in the right side, I guess, first and foremost, but just generally in midfield. And maybe even up here in the attacking midfielder right position, I'm not sure. But that's what I've got, 23 players ready for the World Cup. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And, yeah, I think I shouldn't say goodbye because I'll probably edit this in with something else. Or maybe I should. I don't know. Bye for now, and thanks for watching. Okay then, so you guys have seen the whole slideshow, and I hope you didn't get too bored along the way. I really like to keep an eye on the club careers and sort of find out everything I can about those guys. And as you can see, I've got them all lined up right here, 23 players selected, and that's all I can get. And I thought this through, and there are several players that I feel a bit bad that they're not gonna be part of this, but they might, because there'll be probably injuries and stuff. Paul Evans was really close, right? And several other players. So, but I can't bring them all, and that's just how it is. So I'm really sorry. The rest of you, Llewellyn and so on, yeah, but that's just how it is. So what I'm gonna do now is, well, summon up a little bit of courage and then click the respond button and confirm the Wales selection. I don't know, it's a bit much when actually doing that. So the next time I'll be seeing you guys is for the match on the 12th of June, which is pretty soon. So now I clicked continue game, and what's gonna happen? I don't know. Just want to see if I can avoid getting an injury in the first continue game. I hope so, because this is the real deal, isn't it? And I've really been lucky with injuries, by the way. I mean, there's no one really of any importance who's out with injury right now. So that might be a bit dangerous stating that out loud, but yeah, I'm just hoping that they'll stay fit and stay together. I was really the one where I was most in doubt was Andy Johnson, because he's annoying with all the influence and the very low morale. So normally I choose him, and I did, but I don't know if I made a mistake, or whether that's gonna change the morale. I didn't really consider that so much, but Paul Evans, who was the other option, he has a lot better morale. And well, he has good morale and, well, is sort of the same kind of player, I guess. So now it's the 4th of June already. Nothing really happening. I'm just talking just to stall at the moment, because I know the only thing I have left in this episode is just to say goodbye to you guys. And right, so I can do that now because I did not get any injuries so far. I'm gonna save real quick, and then I'm gonna say bye bye and see you guys next time for the match against France.